Hello, everybody. Scott Golden with the Superstars of Wrestling review series here on Pro Wrestling Logic. And if you're new here, we've got literally hundreds of audios available on both modern day and old school stuff. Old school is where my preference is, but we want to touch on a little bit of everything. Anyway, as we move into the 12th of January of 1991 for Superstars of Wrestling, we are literally about 1 week away, I believe, from the Royal Rumble, and so we kind of move through that. Kent Carlson and the Big Boss Man start things off. Big Boss Man coming out with the ball and chain, the hook ball and chain. Spinebuster there, the sliding uppercut. Boss Man to me looked from about 91 to 94 was the best in shape he ever was. He'd slimmed down. He was in good shape. That babyface run, even into the WCW stuff, was really, really good. Anyway, Bossman and Barbarian is your main event, or not your main event, but your one of your focuses at the Royal Rumble. Then we go, and obviously he gets the win there. Then we go to a hype audio update with Sergeant Slaughter. Slaughter holding the combat boots that supposedly Saddam Hussein sent him. Sheikh Adnan OKC, otherwise known as Sheikh Adnan, is there, and he's kind of going off, and the Slaughter is promising victory at the Royal Rumble, which obviously ends up being prophetic because he does win. The model Rick Martel is in the ring next. He's kind of floundering here in 91. Doesn't quite have the Tatanka program that he would later have in late 91, early 92. Actually, more towards 92. Anyway, so he's in an enhancement match here. Former AWA champion, always looks good. He's in the purple tights face. Gets blocked. I believe Red Tyler is the opponent for the day, and he's doing a lot of walk and talk. He actually is. They end up going into the blindfold match with Jake Roberts. Obviously, I'd kind of not necessarily forgotten about the feud, but it's kind of in when he does enhancement matches, I find that they undervalued his feuds at the time in commentary. Anyway, we move into the British Bulldog. British Bulldog, a part of the Rumble, obviously, sometime about a year and a half away from being the Intercontinental Champion in '92. But here, Bulldog back pretty recently, probably less than a year before. Lots of power moves, shrugs him off, hanging suplex, power slam. They set up in the weeks to come here the Warlord and Davey Boy Smith program. Then we go to the event center. Bushwhacker Luke talks about going at it with his own tag partner and throwing out everyone out of the Royal Rumble. Undertaker up next. Obviously, 30 years later, Undertaker's still here. His final appearance is supposed to be the Survivor Series this year, but Brother Love still the manager here in early 1991. Paul Bearer has not debuted as of yet. Undertaker intimidating children at ringside just by existing. Anyway, Taker, walks the ropes, does the basic stuff, single punches, chokes. Doesn't really have a feud yet. We haven't really figured out where we're going with him. That comes in the months to come, which we will cover here. Tombstone pile driver. His tombstones here actually look to me to be a little more devastating. That's just always been my experience. The earlier tombstones look a little better than the later ones. Anyway, we move to an Ultimate Warrior promo. Warrior promises victory with the help of the Warriors. Mean Gene is the in arena announcer. He's promising to defeat Slaughter. He says Slaughter doesn't have the adversaries necessary to handle him, etc., and so forth. Then we move to a $1 Million Man enhancement talent match. Still DiBiase, one of the best, 87 through about 92, one of the best in the company at the time. Knee drops, basic stuff. snap suplex, vertical suplex gets him over. I love the diving angular fist drop of DiBiase, one of my favorite moves of his. He gets handed the $1 million belt. He talks, a lot of junk about the Dusty Rhodes match. Of course, Dusty leaves right after the Royal Rumble. I wonder what would have happened if Dusty or if Dustin had stayed post Royal Rumble 91, not gone to WCW with his father. I'm sure it wouldn't have been the same, but at the same time, I kind of do wonder. DiBiase doing a lot of talking. Basically, his money is more valuable than the American dream. His money is the American dream. Virgil is forced to pick up money that DiBiase on purpose drops, and DiBiase yells about it. Virgil bows up just a little bit, says he's not going to do it, but eventually does do it. We go to the event center. Mr. Fuji talks about Kato and Tanaka being one of the most lethal teams he's ever had. He punishes them, will punish them, and the Rockers talk about going at it with Fuji's teams for quite a while. They are going to win at the Royal Rumble. They are guaranteeing it. Obviously, Rumble next Saturday night on pay-per-view. Yes, Rumble on a Saturday night, not a Sunday that we're used to now. I mean, you got to remember, pay-per-views for the first, probably till about the mid-90s, maybe 90, 95, 96, somewhere in there, would rotate and be on different nights of the week. It wasn't until the mid-90s that they permanently became Sunday night affairs. Hogan says he's going to win the Royal Rumble for all the American soldiers and all the fans at home. And he actually is, again, prophetic, does that in a matter of speaking the second year in a row. Hogan winning 90 and 91. Which is kind of interesting. I think he's one of a few men, only a few, to win 2 Rumbles, certainly in a row. But 2 Rumbles is also an elite list as well. Anyway, we go to a Power and Glory enhancement match. By this point, Power and Glory is still a pretty major thing. Sonny Blaze and Scotty Williams are your enhancement talents for Power and Glory this time around. Power and Glory still kind of challenging the Hearts. We are not moving to the Nasties quite yet, although that gets built in the weeks and months to come. Power, otherwise known as Hercules, says in an inset promo that he's willing to take out his own partner at the Royal Rumble if necessary. Roma looks to be in phenomenal shape here, and actually, I as much as I hate to admit it, because I was never really a Paul Roma fan, him here through the end of 94, 95, he is phenomenal both in WCW and here body-wise. Perhaps over-pushed from time to time, especially in WCW, but it is there. And the superplex splash combination, 1-foot pin, amazing stuff by Power and Glory. That superplex combo pin is a big deal. Texas Tornado says he's going to win the Royal Rumble. Duggan, who won in the inaugural one in '88, is bragging. Warlord says he's ready for the Rumble going in, and obviously Duggan winning in '88, Big John Studd in '89, Hogan in '90. To think that this is only the 4th Royal Rumble going into 1991, or at least I think they did a couple at house shows, but 4th in general for a national or international audience. Pretty big deal. Henning talks about wondering what happens if he has to go heads up with other members of the Heenan family because he is perfect. He says he's going to make it work. And then Jake Roberts says he may be first, he may be behind Rick Martel, he may be in there when Rick Martel's in there, but he's coming for him and he's ready to go. And speaking of ready to go, we are too for this particular episode. We'll be back with more right after this.